Good evening, sports fans, and welcome back into the opening series here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Adam Karnik. We have got a ton of stuff lined up for you here tonight. Major League Baseball is back in full swing after the All-Star break. A ton of great series going on, and a couple of teams at the top of the standings that I don't think anybody would have imagined being here back in March when the season started. We'll have a WNBA breakdown, recap of some excellent games from over the weekend, and again, a surprising team on top of the standings there. We'll take a peek in. International soccer, women's Euros completed over the weekend with a defending champion holding court and holding up their spot, which means the WNSL will be restarting this weekend. Major League Soccer has been making some progress as well. We'll look at on those. And then lots and lots of racing to get to from over the weekend, plus a little bit of NFL talk and an in memoriam as well. So lots to get to on the show here tonight, and only an hour or so to do it. This is the opening series on IE Sports Radio. Buckle on up, everybody. Let's have some. And hello and good evening, everyone. Once again, I am your host, Adam Karnik. So glad that you are here with us tonight on the opening series here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We have got a ton to be getting into in the show here tonight. Of course, we would be remiss, though, if we did not mention our sponsors. Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. We are thankful for their sponsorship and support. Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Thank you for your support as well. Deal Wax Seals. Go to iesportsradio.com/seal the deal wax seals to check out all of their awesome and amazing products as well. And of course, be sure to follow along with the station on all the social media platforms, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at IE Sports Radio. And of course, go to the website, iesportsradio.com. So thank you for their support, and be sure to check out each and every one of our sponsors. Going to start off the show here tonight with some Major League Baseball talk. Lots going on now that MLB has restarted. We are officially underway. The second half of the season has begun. Some key storylines from over the weekend. Cal Raleigh just continues to mash and turn heads. The Mariners catcher on July 26th got his 40th home run, becoming the first catcher and also the first ever switch hitter to hit that mark before the end of July. He homered on July 26th to get that 40th home run of the season in Seattle's 7-2 win over the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. We had the Baltimore Orioles shut out the Baltimore Orioles shut out the Colorado Rockies in crazy fashion, 18-0. Trevor Rogers won hit shutout over 7 innings. The Orioles also had every single player in the lineup get a hit and get a run in the game, 18-0 over the Rockies. The Rockies just absolutely playing horrible baseball right now. The Yankees, in what was probably the key series over the weekend, the Yankees got an edge over the Phillies on the weekend, 4-3 in one of the games. Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber both got key hits in that game for the Phillies. Mike Trout also celebrated his 1,000th career RBI with the Angels over the weekend. So some big stuff going on there. Nick Kurtz of the Athletics, talk about a rookie debut. Talk about a welcome to Major League Baseball. The rookie had 6 runs scored, 6 hits, 8 RBIs, 19 total bases, 4 home runs in an amazing night as the Athletics enjoyed a weekend down in Houston. We also had a new Hall of Fame class inducted over the weekend as well. The 2025 Hall of Fame class included Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner, Dave Parker, and posthumously Dick Allen were all welcomed into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. We've also got the trade deadline is drawing up and coming close, as we've already had some moves. The Tigers made a move earlier tonight, and the Cubs continue to be involved in rumors and swirls of rumors for trades. They did just give a new contract extension to their vice president of player personnel, Jed Hoyer. So the Cubs making some moves there. The White Sox also may be able to move Luis Robert Jr., as he's been doing well lately after a horrible start to the season. The Cubs have got themselves a big series as well, starting with the Milwaukee Brewers tonight, as those two teams are tied for the NL Central lead. Ricky Keeler hopping into the chat asking what I think, what big deal do the Cubs need to do by Thursday, or what team do I think besides the Cubs needs to do a deal? Well, that's a nice segue, because I think a surprising team that I would not have put here at this point is the Toronto Blue Jays, the best team in all of Major League Baseball, taking 3 out of 4 from the Detroit Tigers over the weekend. I think they need to make some moves. And to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays is one Josh Ritter, insider here on IE Sports Radio, and amongst other things, a supporter of the Toronto Blue Jays. So Josh, welcome to the program. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing well, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Had you told me back in March when the season started that we would be the last Monday in July and the Blue Jays would not only be atop the American League East, they would have the best record in all of Major League Baseball, I would not have believed you. But yet, here we are. So brag on your team for a minute. How is this sustainable for the Blue Jays?
Not only would you not have believed me in March, I don't think you would have believed me on June 15th. No. They were hovering around 500 most of the season, honestly. And it looked like every other Blue Jays season has for the last decade. It feels like every single year the Blue Jays have enough talent where people preseason are telling us, oh, yeah, they're going to be contenders ever since the 2017 team that went to the ALCS and was really fun to watch. They've always maintained a certain talent level where preseason they would get a little bit of buzz. You know, they're in the hardest division in all of baseball with the Yankees and the Red Sox. And, you know, the Orioles had a really good couple of years there, and the Rays have had their successes. I mean, it's always a super competitive division, but they always had this preseason hype and it would just fade. And Every year by about this time, they would just be kind of treading water around 500 and then maybe go on a little bit of a losing streak and eliminate themselves. But it's been that way for several years. And quite honestly, as a Blue Jays fan, it led to some apathy because you didn't know if they were going to be selling off Vlad Guerrero and some of their better pieces. And then all of a sudden they find a way to re-sign Vlad, which was a huge thing for the franchise, I think. I think the stability of the franchise needed that to know that he wanted to stay. And I think that was a really big piece of it. But for some reason, right around the latter part of June into early July, the bats that they've had, all the potential they've had, came alive. And they've become one of the most offensively proficient teams in baseball. Like, they are number one in batting average. They're number one in hits. They're number one in on-base percentage. They don't have a huge slugging team, maybe outside of Vlad Guerrero. They don't hit a ton of home runs. They're middle of the park in that. But they get guys on base and they get them in. They get them across the home plate. And that's all that matters. And they're fun to watch because they've had so many games, especially in the last month, where they've been 17-4 going into tonight in July, where they get these 5, 6, 7 run innings and the hits just become contagious. And it's been quite a thing to watch. I mean, they were 5.5 back of the Yankees at the beginning of July, I think, something along those lines. Now they're 6 up on the Yankees. So it's been, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Yankees have helped by having their struggles. But you know, that when you're 17-4, that's going to make a big jump, and it's been fun to watch. They certainly they have some work to do at the trade deadline, I think, and we'll probably get into that. But they definitely are a contender, and that's good to see because it's been 8-9 years since they've been a contender.
Yeah, absolutely. So with all that said, then they've got a very favorable schedule coming up too. They're currently playing the Orioles. They've got 4 games in Baltimore before playing the Royals for a weekend series at home. And then they have the Rockies next week. So certainly the schedule seems to be lining up nicely. But of course, the trade deadline is coming up on Thursday. What would you like to see the Blue Jays accomplish? To me, on the outside, my natural thought would be pitching. But what would you like to see the Blue Jays focus on?
Yeah, it's pitching, but specifically that the bullpen in the middle innings. They have a very solid closer, and their starters, while they are older, they are pretty solid. So they need that elite reliever, and I couldn't tell you. I'm not in depth enough in baseball to know who's out there as a trade candidate. But if I had a wish list for the Blue Jays, it would be to get the most solid relief pitcher out there. That bullpen, that 5th to 8th inning, where they can keep it together to get to their closer. I do think that's where they need to go. If they could get a younger arm to start, that would be great. Because the one concern I have as a Blue Jays fan is they do have a pretty older rotation. Most of the guys are in their middle 30s, and you don't know how that's going to go when you get into a shortened rotation in October. I think at this point we can say they're probably going to play in October. So you have, getting if we can get a young guy that can start, that'd be great. But I think the focus should be on the bullpen. I'm not too worried about the offense, quite honestly. Like I said, we're number one in several offensive categories. If there's a bat out there that's 7, 8, something like that, where you can get him on the cheap, yeah, that'd be great. But I also don't want the Blue Jays to get so aggressive that they ruin their prospects for a guy. It has to be something that they really feel like they can help them. But yeah, you're right. Pitching is where they need help because they're scoring plenty of runs right now.
Yeah, and taking a look at their rotation, that is a veteran rotation. And normally you'd say, you'd love to get that starter to give them that experience, but everybody in their starting rotation is over 30 years old, and you've got Max Scherzer. You're not going to do a whole lot better than Max Scherzer. You need to, what is this situation like? Well, Scherzer's been there and done that, so that's an easy one to rely on. But yeah, getting that, and the beautiful thing too about needing bullpen help when it's you've got the closer locked down and you've got the rotation seemingly taken care of, you can build middle relief kind of on the fly. That's a relatively easy thing to do on the fly. So getting one or two relief arms, not only can you do it, it can be done for relatively inexpensive too, generally.
Yeah, and you can count on, you only need like one or two really solid guys in your bullpen in the postseason, right? Because you're going to rely on your starters a little bit more. You're gonna be relying on your closer at the late innings, but those middle innings in the daily grind of a regular season, you're relying on your bullpen a lot, right? Because you don't want your guys going 7-8 innings, but you can do that in the postseason a little bit more because there's only so many games and there's rest days between games a little bit more often. So hopefully if they can find one bullpen guy so they can count on that guy to come in and give them 2 solid innings every other night, I think they would be solid. They would be ready to go.
Well, there you go. And Ricky Keeler, one of the co-hosts of the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, pointing out that the reliever market is going to be a lot of fun Thursday because everybody always needs pitching. There's not a single contender that has ever been out there that has ever said, "Nah, we're good. We don't need any more pitching." You always can have more. And so it'll be a very fluid market. It'll be a lot of fun to watch. Well, Josh, thank you so very much for hopping on here tonight and talking and bragging about your Blue Jays as they sit atop the entire MLB here at the end of July. And as I take a look at the scoreboard real quickly here, do we have a score? They are currently trailing the Orioles.
They are, and that would be the first time they've lost back-to-back games in a few weeks. But that'll happen, and I don't expect that to be something that comes back to earth or anything. I think that their hitting's pretty solid. They'll probably find a way to win tonight anyway. So we'll see.
And absolutely, you can never count that offense out. Well, Josh Ritter, thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you, and I don't tell anybody else at IE Sports Radio, but you're my favorite place to be because the last time we talked was right after the Panthers won Stanley Cup. My team's now the number 1 for the Blue Jays. Like, you and I should talk more often. Maybe we should talk mid-October about the Dolphins when they're number 1 in the NFL.
There we go. We'll set a date. We'll make it happen. We'll speak it into existence. Sounds good.
There you go. Take care.
All
Thanks,
right.
Al.
Have a great night. That is Josh Ritter, IESR Insider, covering the Dolphins, covering all things Miami, and also a Toronto Blue Jays fan. So he keeps an eye on them for us. We're going to shift gears a little bit here. We're going to go over and talk a little bit of basketball, specifically the WNBA, as they've had for themselves a good week as well. We had some big games over the weekend. We'll get into the biggest one of the weekend here in just a moment, but we'll do some highlights and key storylines for you from over the week that was. Some big matchups. On Friday, the New York Liberty, a big win over the Phoenix Mercury, 89-76. Sabrina Ionescu, 29 points and 8 assists to give the Liberty the victory there. It was at the time their 5th consecutive win. We also had then the Liberty. Unfortunately, they could not turn around and win back-to-back. However, on Saturday, they did drop one to the Los Angeles Sparks, 101-99, a heartbreaker. Ionesco, a huge night in that one, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. However, the Sparks did hold on to get that win elsewhere from over the weekend. On Saturday, we had the Valkyries get a big win for them, 86-76 over Dallas. Tiffany Hayes and Janelle Saloon, both with double-digit points to lead the Valkyrie. Paige Buchers with 17 points for the Wings, but Golden State pulling away late in that one. Also on Saturday, the Washington Mystics edged the Seattle Storm 69-58. And on Sunday, the Connecticut Sun, a huge win over the Valkyries, 95-64. The Sun, a huge win in that one. The Valkyries shot just 34% from the floor in that one. Elsewhere as well on Saturday, the Indiana Fever, a massive win over the Chicago Sky. No Caitlin Clark, no Angel Reese in that one, but didn't matter for Indiana, 93-78. The Aces beat the Wings 106-80. The Mercury edged the Mystics 88-72. And then the Minnesota Lynx have been the hottest team in the WNBA, a 109-78 win over the Aces on Friday. Nafisa Collier's 25 points and 9 rebounds in that one. Courtney Williams also 23 points as the Lynx improved to 14-0 at home in that one. However, they then went down to Atlanta and that home streak would not last, though, as the Atlanta Dream upset the Lynx 90-86 on Sunday, as Atlanta creeping up here against the Lynx, and that could be our WNBA finals preview there. As I apologize, my camera appears to have gone out on me. I'm going to see if I can get that back. Give me just a moment here. And while I do that, joining us here on the opening series, he is an IE Sports Radio insider for us and covering Minnesota, including the Lynx, one Glenn Ritter. Glenn, welcome to the program. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, doing great, Adam. How are you?
Doing all right. Sorry that all of a sudden my camera seems to be giving me fits, but that's okay. I can work on that. Get us up to speed on the Minnesota Lynx. A bit of a disappointing loss, I would imagine, last night to Atlanta. A little bit of a surprise too on that one.
Yeah, that was definitely disappointing. There was the first technical loss at home for the Lynx this season, although they did lose to the Indiana Fever in the Commissioner's Cup final at home. But since that didn't count in the standings, it doesn't count technically as a loss for them. But yeah, it was a tough matchup against the Dream, because they were just they were hitting everything, which usually the the Lynx this season are one of the top teams in the NBA, both in offensive and defensive ratings, and obviously then a net rating as well. They were the number one team across all three categories going into that game, and just the Dream shot just lights out during that game. I'm trying to look at the stats here real quick, but yeah, I think as a team they shot over 50%, 52%. I think at some point in the game. I was trying to follow along as best I could last night, because there wasn't on TV here locally. But yeah, it was. I think part of it is just having an issue with some of the size. Brittany Griner being like 6'9", she put up just I think 17 points in the first half. Really couldn't stop her, and then Alicia Gray did a number in the second half. I think the fourth quarter. The two teams started out the fourth quarter going 10 of 12. So when Atlanta already had a significant lead going in to the fourth quarter, they just extended it and stuff. So that was a little tough to see. You doing all right there, Adam? No, maybe not. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it was disappointing to see, because really, Nafisa Collier still had 32 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 14 of 18 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3-point. She's a great player. She is the MVP front runner. She should be anyway. But just the one Achilles heel with this team is Alana Smith is the tallest player that we've gotten. That she's 6'4", and there's so it's hard for the Lynx to kind of match up against the Brittany Griners, the Cardosos for Indiana, or just a lot of those teams have some significant length down low, and I think that kind of gets them on the boards, and that's kind of the one Achilles heel that the team has. But because watching the game against on Friday night against the Aces. They didn't have an issue with Asia Wilson. They were able to shut her down. So it was, So I think they can beat any team, but I think they're a little susceptible to some teams that have some significant length at the center position.
Is this in your mind? Obviously, Minnesota is sitting atop the standings right now. What does Minnesota need to do the rest of the way to make sure it maintains at this point?
I think just playing with that consistency. The one thing that I noticed, because I was able to watch the entire game of when they played the Aces, was the way that they moved the ball. Like, they have 5 players that can all hit shots. They're always just making the right pass. If the jump shot's not falling for people like Caitlin McBride or Courtney Williams, they're going to have some tough time scoring, and they're not going to get a lot of offensive rebounds. So if they got to be able to hit those shots, because they get open shots with the way that they move the ball. They've got the best coach in WNBA history with Cheryl Reeves, and she gets the best out of her team. So again, consistency is what's gonna really get them through the playoffs and into a championship series again.
Sounds good. Well, Glenn, thank you so very much for hopping on here tonight and breaking down the top team in the WNBA standings right now, the Minnesota Lynx.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Adam.
Absolutely. That is Glenn Ritter, Minnesota insider here for IE Sports Radio, as I'm sure he's getting ready and excited for the upcoming Viking season, amongst other things.
Absolutely.
Well,
take care, Adam. We'll see you.
Yep. Have a good night. Glenn Ritter, Minnesota insider for IE Sports Radio. Gonna change gears over here again. We're just diving on through here in the opening series, wrapping up everything that's been going on over the past week of sports and getting you primed up and set up for the week to come. Now we're going to head out to the pitch. We are going to talk some soccer, lots and lots of stuff to dive into here. And to help us do that, she is the host of Shin Pads and Shenanigans. Jess, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing all right. It's been a few weeks since we have gotten to catch up and chat, but it has been busy in the world of soccer. We've got women's Euros that resolved from over the weekend. Let's start there. That's going to be the best spot, as England managed to defend its title, had to go to penalty kicks to do it, but managed to defend the title. Take us through that championship match.
Man, it was a crazy one for sure. Going into the penalties, I mean, I always hate when watching penalties because it's on the edge of your seat. Of course, Spain, they dominated the first half with 67% of the possession. And oddly enough, one of the players from the England side actually, I think after the game, mentioned she'd been playing with a fractured tibia, so a bone fractured in her leg throughout this entire competition. That's crazy. Why?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's not the easiest thing to do.
Mm-mm.
That's not at all something that you want to do. Now, Spain opened the scoring 25th minute. Mariona Caldanetti with a header to put Spain on top. And you mentioned how much Spain had been dominating the possession through the first half and into the second half. What changes did England make to then not only equalize the game, but then get it to the penalty kick situation?
I think they replaced Chloe Kelly they replaced Lauren James with Chloe Kelly. So that kind of helped reinforce the left wing to help kind of make it a more even match. And of course, Russo got the equalizer in the 57th minute, and that changed the momentum because when you get that goal, it's like, all right, you're on fire. You just like keep going and keep that momentum going, keep the pressure up.
Well, that substitution for Chloe Kelly was huge too, because Kelly wound up having ultimately the winning penalty kick too. So that was a massive substitution.
Absolutely. It's strategic on the coach's part.
Hannah Hampton was named the player of the match. Two saves in the penalty kill. This overall tournament set a record for women's Euro attendance for the final. What does that say for women's football on the whole here? What can we draw from that?
I think it goes to show how much people are really getting into soccer. So it's not just men's soccer that's been kind of having a good attendance, but like the women's soccer, like people are catching on. They're okay. These women, they can play. It's exciting to watch, you know? So I think that's really good for women's soccer as a whole.
Absolutely. And then for England specifically, this is the first English senior team ever to win a major tournament on foreign soil. What does this mean for the English program? What can we take away from their program for this?
I feel like it kind of shows that both their tactics and the way they've been playing shows their dominance. So it kind of helps to say, hey, England's a force to be reckoned with, you know? So better watch out for them. And it's also good for people who want to go to England to transfer to that team. So it's good for that.
Makes sense. Well, of course, with the women's Euros going on, that means that the NWSL has been on a little bit of a break. Now they get to restart and get their season back and going again this weekend. Any matches in particular or anything in particular that you're looking out for with this restart for the NWSL this week?
I mean, I'm an Angel City fan, so I'm looking forward to the Angel City and the Seattle Reign game on Friday, but I'm also interested to see the Gotham City game because Esther's going to be back. And if I'm not mistaken, she had the most goals for the entire women's Euro competition. So she's going to be on fire coming back. And I'm really excited to see how she works with Gotham City versus Chicago.
And we'll see how well that can translate. And Gotham on the whole was playing incredibly well right before the break there. 4 wins in their last 5 matches, going up against a Chicago team that, will put it mildly, has been struggling all season long. Gotham finds itself still, though, 8th in the table. What can Gotham do? Is there still something to be had there, or is it a little too late for Gotham at this point?
When it comes to I think Kansas City is probably going to take it all as far as the whole season goes, but Gotham is probably going to really fight for it. And I don't know. I just don't know if there's much chance for Gotham to reach the top by the end of the season.
Might be a little bit too deep of a hole that they've dug themselves. Yeah. Makes sense. We've also got this weekend on Saturday, we've got North Carolina and San Diego, and we've got Bay FC versus Houston on Saturday. Then on Sunday, 2 matches, Washington and Portland. That will be a rivalry match, if nothing else. Those two very, very close to each other, and not only geographically, but right next to each other on the table too, 4th and 5th in the table there. And then Orlando and Utah also taking place on Sunday. Orlando currently 2nd in the table, Utah well down at the very, very bottom of the table. Just 1 victory to this point for Utah. Anything from the Saturday or Sunday matches that jump out at you?
I mean, it's gonna be fun. I feel like it's gonna be really good because we're just getting off of a really long break. So we'll see how the players held up over this really long break.
Yeah, hopefully no injuries. We definitely do not want
Hopefully not.
any injuries. And then
Right.
lastly, let's get into MLS from over the weekend. We had a few good matches from over the weekend. San Diego defeated Nashville 1-0 on Friday. The Portland Timbers defeated LAFC 1-0 on Friday. Orlando City over Columbus Crew 3-1. The CF Montreal handled New England Revolution 3-1. Philadelphia over Colorado 3-1. Austin doubled up DC 4-2. Atlanta and Seattle played to a 2-2 draw. Charlotte FC defeated Toronto FC 2-0. And then the Vancouver Whitecaps 3-0 over Sporting Kansas City. What jumped out at you from the weekend of MLS? Anything in particular there?
I mean, not really too much for the regular games. Just hearing a lot about how upset Messi's been.
Yeah, perfect there as Ricky brings up into the chat room. Get us up to speed on the Messi suspension. What all went down and what happened there with that?
So the MLS rules state that if you don't participate in a match without valid reason, you're going to be suspended for a match. Those are the rules. And he's getting all upset about it. He's acting like a little crybaby about it. And I'm like, dude, you can't be like, he wants to be treated so special. And I'm like, dude, okay, so dude, you're just acting like such a baby, because it also brings me back to when he was like, oh, it's the ref's fault. You need, like, the MLS needs to look at the refs. I'm like, dude, it is not the ref's fault that freaking Miami conceded 20 goals in 6 matches. You're losing your touch, dude. Stop acting like a freaking little toddler throwing a temper tantrum.
I love that. Just with some definite thoughts there for Messi in MLS. I love it. And then as we take a quick peek at the table in MLS, we've still got Philadelphia on top in the East and San Diego on top in the West. Is that gonna change anytime soon for you? Are there other teams that you're keeping an eye on, or are we pretty much, as we get into the home stretch here in the MLS season, are those two pretty much going to be the teams to beat in their conferences?
I don't know. I mean, Philadelphia and Cincy, they're really close with just both sides, both Eastern and Western Conference. They're just 1 point difference. So I'm like, it really could be any of the 4 teams at the top right now. San Diego, Vancouver, Cincy, and Philadelphia. Who knows? We'll see what happens. They're still battling out up at the top, and it's really close.
That always makes it fun and exciting and entertaining to keep an eye on. Well, Jess, thank you so very, very much for joining us, getting us caught up on everything happening in the wonderful world of footy.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. And when will we be able to hear you on the next episode of Shin Pads and Shenanigans?
This upcoming Wednesday night at 7:00 Mountain, 8:00 Central.
All right. Sounds good. Be sure to tune in right here on IE Sports Radio. Jess will get you caught up on everything happening in the world of soccer. And we'll see if she has any more thoughts for Messi too.
We'll see.
All right. Sounds good. Jess, thank you very much.
No problem.
All right. And that does it for our catch up on everything there happening in the soccer world as well. Well, we are going to take for ourselves a quick break here on the opening series. And then when we get back, We are going to get caught up on everything that was happening with anything that had a motor and an engine from over the past week. NASCAR, Formula One, IndyCar, plus some others, you name it. If it goes vroom, we will be talking about it next here on the opening series on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be right back after. IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
And welcome back into the opening series here on IE Sports Radio. I am your host, Adam Karnik. So glad that you are here with us on this Monday evening. All right, we bounced around to a bunch of different sports. Buckle on up, everybody. Let's go racing, shall we? If it's got an engine and if it's got a motor and it's got tires, we are going to be talking about it. We're going to start things off with some NASCAR conversation. They were at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard 400 over the weekend. Bubba Wallace took the win there. He became, amazingly enough for Team Toyota, he became the first ever African-American driver to win at IMS. I cannot believe that when I am reading it and seeing that. That is just mind-boggling to see that. It was a 100 race winless streak for Wallace, his third career Cup Series victory. Finishing second on the podium, Kyle Larson from Hendrick Motorsports. He was a little bit faster, but just couldn't overcome some restart troubles there. And then Denny Hamlin of Joe Gibbs Racing finished third. Ryan Preece and Brad Keselowski rounded out the top five there. Wallace stayed out late in the closing laps, which allowed him to hang on to enough fuel to get the win. It very nearly backfired. That's always one of those fun racing things, is to see how those late race strategies play out. But in this case for Bubba Wallace, it worked. He took the lead late lap 154, but was when he wound up taking the win. Some rain triggered caution on lap 156, which then slowed everything down, but then double overtime allowed Bubba Wallace to hold firm on the restarts and get the victory. So some good stuff happening there in NASCAR. Over in Formula One, meanwhile, F1 racing going on. Over in the F1, sorry, as I have to get my notes in order here. I apologize. The Belgian Grand Prix yesterday, Oscar Piastri from McLaren gets the win. He had the pole and converted that into his 6th victory of the season. He expands his points lead to 16 over teammate Lando Norris, with the win. Rounding out the podium was Lando Norris of Team McLaren, and then Charles Leclerc of Ferrari. But he was a good 20 seconds behind Norris in getting that 3rd place. Max Verstappen and George Russell also finished 4th and 5th in the race. Lewis Hamilton, a good recovery drive for him, starting from pit lane in qualifying, but got all the way up to 7th. So some good stuff there. Rain also affecting the F1 race over the weekend, as it had an 80 to 90 minute delay with heavy rain and poor visibility. Obviously, you do not want to be driving any car in the rain, but especially those high precision and definitely high tolerance vehicles in the rain going on there at F1. The delay did cause some controversy. Max Verstappen calling out FIA for being overly cautious, felt that they could have gotten the race started a little bit earlier. But George Russell, Leclerc, and Piastri all backed the decision, citing safety risks, especially with some of the high speed sections at Eau Rouge. You definitely don't want to be going too fast into sections where you can't see everything. The win, again, we mentioned that Piastri now has 16 points over Norris in the standings. McLaren as a team has bumped their lead up. They are almost 270 points in front of Ferrari. So McLaren absolutely exerting dominance in the standings overall there. So some good things going on there in F1. IndyCar, well, we've been talking about him all season. We're going to continue to talk about him in IndyCar as the season wears on, because it is Alex Palou's world and we're just all living in it. The Grand Prix of Monterey, it didn't matter. Alex Palou led 84 of the 95 laps, easily winning the race, his 8th victory of the season. He is now the first IndyCar driver in the last 18 years to reach the 18 win plateau. He is 121 points over Pato O'Ward. There's only 3 races remaining in the season, so there's pretty much no way that Palou is going to lose this lead. Rounding out the podium for this particular race, Christian Lundgaard finished 2nd. Colton Herta finished 3rd. Pato O'Ward, a very distant 4th. To round out that podium in IndyCar, Paolo held the pole and held on to win the race. He has just dominated this season. Nolan Siegler briefly did take the lead, having a little bit of an unusual strategy early on, but it didn't last for very long. Paolo took the lead on lap 37 and never gave it up, leading the last 59 laps of the race. There were 2 late cautions. Marcus Ericsson and Santino Ferrucci did cause a couple of late yellows, but that didn't do anything to affect the overall finish in the race. Kiffin Simpson and Felix Rosenquist both collided on the very first lap, ending their days extremely early in the race as well. There's now just 3 races left in the IndyCar series. It would take some unbelievable chaos over the final month of the IndyCar season for Alex Palou to not come out with the championship. They've got the weekend off as well. Portland is the next stop on the IndyCar tour, but that race will not occur until August 10th. So a little bit of time off there in the IndyCar racing. And then lastly, here in the auto racing, we're going to talk about the NHRA a little bit to finish out our auto racing for the week. In the NHRA, we had Top Fuel. Doug Kalita broke through, getting the victory. He was 3.752 seconds and reaching all the way up to 334 miles per hour. He defeated Antron Brown, who needed 4.06 seconds to cross the line. Kalita had qualified at first 6 previous times this season. Finally got the victory. His 56th career win and his 6th Top Fuel win at Sonoma. However, he hadn't won there in 20 years. It was all the way back in 2005, the last time he'd been able to actually garner the victory at Sonoma. This was the 37th annual Denso NHRA, the Sonoma Nationals, presented by Power Edge. Then in Funny Car, you had Austin Prock continue his reign, getting the win. Prock 3.904 seconds, getting up to 333 miles per hour to defeat Spencer Hyde. Prock that wasn't as fast as Prock got at one point. At one point in the race, he got all the way up to 340.9 miles per hour in round 1. He was the first Funny Car to surpass 340 miles per hour this season. Prock defeated Cruz Pedegrin in the first round, then Paul Lee in the second round, Matt Hagan in the semifinal, and then Spencer Hyde to get the championship in the Sonoma NHRA Funny Car. A nice quote here from Prock. "This is huge. We struggled in qualifying, but came across something that worked. I never realized how many fans I had here in Sonoma County." So Wine County showing up big time for Funny Car there. In Pro Stock, Greg Stanfield got the win. 6.552 seconds, going 211.49 miles per hour, defeating Aaron Stanfield. This was the first time father and son faced each other in the championship in Pro Stock final round history. Aaron had the whole shot, but he did slow up then after that, allowing his dad to chase him down and beat him. So, that was nice of Aaron to let dad get the win there at the end. Very nice of him to do that. Overall for Stanfield, his path to victory, he beat Matt Latino in round 1, then Greg Anderson in the second round before beating his son Aaron in the final. Good quote. "To race my son in a final round, it's a dream. He left first, so he actually won, but this one I'll never forget." Dallas Glenn also lost in the semis. That trims his overall lead just down to 37 points over Glenn Anderson. And for Elite Motorsports, this is their first win in Pro Stock since 2025. And in the motorcycle, Richard Gadsden got the win, 6.756 seconds at just under 200 miles per hour, defeating John Hall, who needed 6.807 seconds at 196 miles per hour. Gadsden actually red lighted in Saturday's All-Star final, but he bounced back strong, getting the victory on Sunday. He beat B. Hawkins in the first round, Angie Smith in the second, and then ultimately John Hall in the championship. Next, they'll be heading up to Brainerd, Minnesota for the 43rd annual Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals. But that isn't going to be for a couple of weeks. That'll be over August 14th through the 17th at Brainerd International Raceway. We're going to switch things up here one last time. We're going to get off of the auto racing and finish out the show tonight with a little bit of golf talk. We'll start in the PGA as I get my notes pulled up here. So pardon me for just a moment. We'll start in the PGA talk here. I apologize. I had everything up here. There we go. The 3M Open at TPC Twin Cities. Kurt Kitayama got the win, his second PGA Tour win, finished with a 65 one-stroke under Sam Stevens. His weekend, he had an 11 under 60 in the third round, including 12 birdies, tying a course record. Sam Stevens, again, needed one stroke more than Kitayama, finishing second. Kitayama overall matched the Minnesota course record with that 60 that we mentioned, featuring a front 928. One small mistake on par 3 that just kept that 59 out of reach. However, still an outstanding performance for Kitayama overall. This gives Kitayama momentum heading into the FedEx Cup playoffs. He will, and now notably, there were some people that did miss out on the final cut, including Tony Fianu, Hatong Lee, and Sungja Im, which will affect the playoff dynamics a little bit. And then in the LPGA over the weekend as well, rounding things out here, the ISPS Honda Women's Scottish Open over the weekend. Lottie Woad of England in her LPGA Tour debut. The 21-year-old finished with a final round of 68 to finish 21 under, giving her a 3-stroke lead and ultimately the championship. An outstanding LPGA debut for Lottie Woad. Hyoju Kim finished second at 18 under par, and Julia Lopez of Spain tied with Se-Young Kim of Korea for third place. Both of them finished at 14 under par. Julia Lopez, a 7 under 65 in the final round to get that tie for third place. An outstanding job there. Woad, she became the first player to win the Scottish Open in their LPGA debut. Her win also capped off an exciting weekend, followed closely by the start of the AIG Women's Open next week. That is going to do it for our show. Sponsors: Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. All orders are $50 and above receive free shipping, so be sure to check that out. Thank you also to Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use the promo code IESR at checkout to get 15% off of their comfortable and inspiring gym wear. Thank you to Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Go to iesportsradio.com/seal the deal. Wax Seals. With the summer holiday season upon us, you know you're going to be sending out invitations to barbecues and vacations to let everybody know that when they get that in the mail, they see that seal and they know that it came from you. Go to iesportsradio.com/seal the deal wax seals. The CLD will help you to personalize your own hand stamp wax seal. And of course, be sure to follow along on IE Sports Radio on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest on the network. And be sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio everywhere there, and to check out the website, iesportsradio.com. Thank you to Larry B., the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio, for all the hard work you're putting on behind the scenes. Sir, it does not go unnoticed or unappreciated. Thank you to all the guests today. Josh Ritter, Glenn Ritter, no relation, and Jess from IE Sports Radio. Thank you for your time and joining us and providing your expertise to the show. Thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight across Twitter and YouTube and Twitch. Thank you for being here and showing your support to the show. Coming up next, it'll be Taryn Rodriguez of Set Point, getting you caught up on everything happening in the world of volleyball. Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Have a great week. We will catch you right here, same time on the opening series. Until then, I am Adam Karnik for IE Sports Radio. Have a great week, everybody.